Hello and welcome. My name's Matt. I'm with the Lancaster Lebanon Habitat for Humanity, and today we're going to be sharing some energy saving tips for you to help make your home more energy efficient and hopefully save you some money and time in the future. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about caulking. Now, caulking is something that kind of flies under the radar for most people. You don't really think of it as a big system in your home, but it can be absolutely detrimental if you don't keep up with it. If you can picture your home as being an envelope, you want to keep that envelope sealed at all times. The caulking is what helps you do that, along with weather stripping and some other things we'll talk about later. Now, as far as the caulking goes, you want to check this at least once a year. Now, most caulking, it may say it'll last 10, 20 years, but that's talking about interior caulking under ideal conditions. Outside, you're exposed to a lot of weather conditions, snow, ice, rain, high heat, things like that. All of those things make the caulk expand and contract, and eventually it cracks. Now, if you catch it in time, you can save yourself on a lot of water damage. Now, along with letting heat out of the house in the winter when you want to keep it in, or potentially heat in the summer coming inside your home, you want to save yourself from any potential water damage from rain and things like that, which, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but it'll cause you a lot of different problems if you can't seal it up. So I'm going to show you how to effectively clean out the old caulk, identify bad caulk, and get it sealed up for you so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so follow along and I'll do my best to explain it to you. Okay, when you're looking at your caulking, what you want to do is look for any raised edges. You see that's raised there, has a lot of dark discoloration underneath. A lot of that's dirt, some of it could be mildew or mold from water, but if you have anything like that, you want to be mindful of it and get it removed as quickly as you can and get it replaced with new caulking. Because like we said, letting out heat and things like that, you're also going to be letting water in to the wood that is under the sill. And if you let too much in, it's going to get rotted. And the thing with water is, by the time you notice water damage on the inside, you're going to have extensive damage inside the wall that you can't see. So we want to hit this as soon as we can. So one of the ways that you can take this out is you can use a utility knife right here, or you can use a multi-tool like this, a 5-in-1 tool, 7-in-1 tool, something like that. It has a nice edge on it to help you get underneath of the caulking. Just run it right along that edge. Run it across the bottom, and then run it across the top, just like that. Cut it in the corner, and then you can just lift that up like that. And as you peel it back, you'll see that seam open up to the wood that's underneath. Get that there, and we're going to go all along this edge. And you can tell it's getting older and brittle because it's peeling off pretty easily, so it's definitely ready to be replaced. So what we have to do next is we'll get this cleaned up. You can take a rag or paper towel, something that's wet and soapy to kind of get out the debris. Or you can use another product like Goof Off, which is a solvent-based spray, and that'll help really get some of that mildew off of there. One of the things I like to do is take my old paintbrush, usually a small one, something like that, to get in there, and just brush out any loose debris. I'm gonna brush that stuff out of there. Get that out first, and then we can wipe it down with our wet rag. All right, so we have our wet rag here. Now we can wipe this down, try and clean up that metal, clean up the metal and the vinyl window. That's also something else to be mindful of, is that when thinking about caulking will expand and contract at its own rate, but vinyl windows and wood will at different rates also. So it kind of gives you an idea of everything moving at different times throughout the year, how easy it is for caulking to get brittle and crack. One of the other things I mentioned was like a Goof Off spray. Now this, you can spray in there and get it just lightly coated with it. This is a little bit more of an aggressive cleaner, but you can see how it's really going to clean up that metal. And we want to get it as clean as possible because once the caulk's on there, you're not going to be coming back and scrubbing the windows, so at least not until it's cured. So you can see how we're cleaning that up. And also what that does is it gives us the best possible chances for that caulk to really adhere to the metal, which is our goal. We want it to seal the best that we possibly can. As part of this process, when you get it taken out, it gives you an opportunity to look at the metal and the wood edge there to be able to see if you have any wood damage in there. And you'll know right away because with these edges, there's not a lot of air getting to it to dry it out. So if it's wet, it'll be soft and kind of spongy. And with that being able to cause mold, it's also going to be an attractant for things like termites. So you want to make sure that you're keeping that stuff as clean and as dry as possible. So I'm going to get this cleaned up the rest of the way here, and then we'll show you how to spread the caulk on and make it nice and smooth. Show some of these areas here. Okay. So now we have it all cleaned up and we're ready to put the caulking in. There are a couple of different types of caulking that you can use. You'll see some that are more for paintable surfaces. Those are more acrylic based, and they're usually just used for inside. You can use it on the exterior if you're planning on painting it. Say if you're going against wood trim and things like that that are going to need painted, you're going to want to use a caulk that is also paintable. Now for this, because we're going against vinyl and metal, and there's even brick on the sides, we're really not going to be painting those things, so we want to use a caulk that's going to serve our purpose, which is going to be more of a silicone based. Now, you have to keep in mind that silicone, you can't paint it. It is the best for keeping it weather tight and also mildew resistant. But yeah, just want to keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to paint it. It's just going to bead up and run off of the silicone. So for this particular one, we're going to use a clear caulk to match some of our other stuff, but you can get things to match your particular surface. Like this one has a little bit more of a beige tone, so you can get some caulk that is like almond colored or biscuit or like a beige, something like that, even white and gray. So for this we'll use the clear, and we'll get this loaded up. Now this one already has a cut end on it, but most caulking guns will come with a little spout cutter. You can put that in there and just pull the trigger and it'll slice it right open. And also a wire here to help clean out the inside. So we'll get this loaded up. And one little trick that I like to do is when I'm finished, I'll add a nail or like an aluminum nail to it to keep this sealed, so you can just pull it right out and then you can start fresh and it won't go bad on you. And it's good to use something that's aluminum because if you don't, it could potentially rust. And then those first few beads you put out are going to have a kind of rust colored line in it. So I'm going to be mindful of that. All right, we'll get this set up for you. Okay. And usually when I'm restarting a tube, I always like to squirt a little bit in just to get that excess out, because it is going to discolor over time. A lot of the silicone caulks will get yellow, which you can see there. So we just squeeze some out so we get to that nice kind of foggy white color there, and that'll be good to go. Okay, so to keep the most control when you're caulking, you want to pull the caulking gun towards you, and less is more, because we're going to end up spreading this out with our finger at the end. If you get a really good caulk line, sometimes you don't have to spread it with your finger, but for this, to make sure that we're getting the caulk really into that seam, we're going to add some pressure with our finger once we get it spread. So I'm going to do a smaller caulk line there. Always start in the corner if you can, meeting up with the old caulk. And then we're just going to light pressure right along that edge. Make sure that we're filling it. Work from the corner out again. And go up for the corner. Go back in here. And the reason I'm starting in the corner is because when you first start out, it's gonna want to ball up on you, and it's going to be a lot easier to press it into the corner if that's where your kind of glob of caulk is, as opposed to just on a straight part. So work out from the corner here, get a nice long line going. It's nice and easy flow. Don't worry if you get some hiccups along the way, that's natural. We'll smooth that stuff out the best that we can. Work all the way to the corner and work our way down. Some areas will require just a little bit more if there are bigger gaps. That's okay, we'll work it out. Run through there, and then pull this back here so it doesn't keep coming out of the end. We'll grab our nail, we'll just shove it right back in. Then we can sit that off to the side and we'll be ready to spread it out. Okay, so now that we've got the caulk spread, we're gonna spread it out with our finger. Now, something to keep in mind with silicone, it is solvent based, so it's not gonna come off with soap and water. You might have to use like a mineral spirits or paint thinner. So what I do when I'm using my finger, you can either wear like a surgical style glove or just use your bare finger. Just make sure that your finger is wet. So I usually keep a wet paper towel with me just so I can constantly keep my finger wet and I'm not like, you know, trying to wet it with my mouth or something like that. And silicone doesn't taste very good, so we'll just use that and then work right from the corner again. A nice light line. If it starts to ball up on the end of your finger, just do that. And you are going to have some waste with this, but it's better to know that we have enough in there and that we're really filling the gaps than to leave open spots. So we'll work our way out, work into the corner, and then we'll just nice, easy stroke all the way down the edge. You want to make sure that those edges are kind of feather edged out the best they can so there's not any heavy lips. And also, you want to be mindful that because we're working on metal here, that any edges, don't go too heavy with your finger over that, because that can be very sharp and you could potentially slice your finger. So just be mindful of your own safety when you're doing it. Now we have this pretty covered there. All the edges are nice and sealed up. That's how we want it to look. Nice and clean. It's a lot better off, and it's nice and weather tight. All right, so now that we've showed you the benefits of caulking and the technique to use, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and I hope you'll come back and see us for some more energy saving tips. So, thanks, and have a good day.